If you struggle attacking with Deadlock, then what I'm about to show you guys in this video is going to make it much easier for you to get some kills. Deadlock isn't like other sentinels in that you have one specific role you need to do. You can play her in 3 different ways on attack, with each playstyle being just as important. The first way is to play like a lurking sentinel, where you play away from your team to try to catch rotations from the enemy team, or catch people trying to flank. Now, you know that the sonic sensor sucks to hold flank, right? But what you can do instead is to place it deep where enemies like to flank, then just simply peek off it when you're lurking in attack. This way, not only are they stunned, but you also prime yourself to take the fight because you know exactly where they're located. I really like doing this on Ascent when my team is pushing B main. I take A main control and place the chip outside of A main. The reason why this playstyle works so great in ranked is because people think your team won't have any ability to hold flank because of how the Deadlock sonic sensor works. It's the same mentality as they only have a Sage, easy flanks for us. But that's where you take advantage of their stupidity and get an early round changing kill. The second attacking playstyle you can do is similar to how Sage is played with some killjoy mixed in. You're generally gonna be the one holding the spike and planting, going in second or third into site. Let your duelist entry site while you help them block off the rest of the enemy team from being able to entry onto site with either your wall or your Gravnet. One thing that will help with attack on Deadlock is to find lineups for both your Gravnet and your wall so you can block off their team easier. I'm gonna show some Gravnet lineups later in the video, so stay tuned. Now, after you guys have secured site, you need to set up for post plant. Place the sonic sensors where enemies will likely rush in and make noise. I try to put them where they will likely be stalled for as long as possible. You want to think of it as kind of similar to how cipher chips are used for post plant. Now, if your wall is still available when you have sight, just throw it to block off choke points. This is really devastating for enemies who get their push shut off, especially on pistol round where it takes 5 whole years to destroy the wall. Another way you can play on attack, and probably the most fun if done properly, is you can actually be a little initiator for your team. What I mean by this is you can help your duelists get early frags by setting them up with some Gravnet lineups that land on common angles enemies like to hold. Like for example here on A long and Haven. I always use this lineup as there's always somebody holding this. So what this will do is it will make it harder for the enemy to fall back into cover. Then after you've done the initiating, you can then flex over back to your second playstyle where you help your team set up for taking the site and for post plant. Now quickly I'll go through some essential Gravnet lineups so you can use them to initiate early fights for your team. Now for the first Gravnet lineup, we're on Ascent. So what you want to do is you want to get onto this copper thing right here. Aim for this roofstone that's just to the left of this window. Go up until you meet this rift. So like this. Then all you have to do is jump throw. And then this Gravnet right here will land stairs in a second. Right here. Which means that anybody who's holding stairs shield will be crouched. For the second Gravnet lineup, you want to line yourself up with the bags of trash here. Then aim for the little antenna here. Go up until you meet the light bulb. Then simply jump throw. And what's going to happen is it's going to go through the hole here and bam. 8 people be long here. So if they're holding this tight angle here, they're going to get Gravneted. Moving over to Fracture, for the third Gravnet lineup, line yourself up with this crystal looking thing here. I don't know what it's called in English. I'm very sorry. Then aim for the little line here. Go up until you meet the line on the roof. Simply throw it. It's going to bounce off the wall here, and it's going to hit the person who's probably holding this little angle here. Now, for the fourth Gravnet lineup, we're moving over to Haven, and this is probably my favorite one to do. So you'll want to get on top of the second layer of the plateau here. Then go into the corner of the brick here, like this. Aim for the light bulb, then go down until you meet the height of this leaf right here. So it's going to be like this leaf right here. Middle of this light bulb, like this. Throw it. Then what's going to happen is it's going to land A long here, which is going to basically crouch anybody who's holding this angle right here. Very nice. Now for the fifth lineup, we're moving over to Lotus. So what you want to do is you want to get on top of this box right here. Get into the corner of it like this. Doesn't have to be exact, by the way. Aim for the top of this plant here. You see that little like spike here. Aim for that. Jump throw. And then what's going to happen is this is going to land right here. Which is basically just going to crouch anybody who's holding this angle with a Vandal or an up. For the sixth lineup, we're on Pearl. Woohoo. So what you want to do is you want to get into the corner of this box right here. Then you want to aim for the white light bulb here. Go up until you meet the top of the green one. So it's going to look like this. Then jump throw. And what's going to happen is it's going to land on top of screens here, which means that anybody standing here is crouched, anybody standing here is crouched, and anybody on the ground is crouched. Very nice. Now for the final Gravnet lineup, we're moving over to split. So what you want to do is you want to get on top of this like little plant pot thing here. Aim for the corner of this little building here. Then I want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines in the building. Then throw the Gravnet. And then this is going to land right here on ramps, which means anybody who's holding this is going to get crouched. Now over to some generic attacking tips. You might sometimes want to block off flank if you're pushing somewhere, like on bind here, for example. But how do you stop them from flanking if the only sentinel you have is yourself? Well, that's where the wall comes in. If you want to cover flank, please stop using the sonic sensor. It doesn't work like that. Use the wall if you really want to cover it. It's an expensive tripwire, but in some situations where the enemies like to flank, it's the best tool you can use. Second tip, if you want to start an early fight with Deadlock or get a first blood quick, use your ultimate on common angles the enemies love to hold. Like for example here on A main fracture. If you know an enemy is opping, you can bounce it into the wall for an easy 0 risk first blood. This is really good when your team is on an eco round, as it can create a snowball effect where you get the rifle from the dead enemy and then snowball kills with the rifle from there. Third tip, and probably the most niche, is you can actually use both the Gravnet and sonic sensor as a fake flash. What I mean by this is with the Gravnet, you can throw it against the wall to make it look like a flash and then immediately peek off of it, like in this clip. As for the sonic sensor, you guys know how the Cypher fake camera flash works, right? You put it on the wall, then the enemy flicks their crosshair over to it. Yeah, you can do the same thing with the sonic sensor. However, use this very, very rarely, please. This is very niche, but sometimes it can get you some free kills. Finally, to end, remember to switch up your playstyle. One of the most important aspects of Deadlock is unpredictability. She's a very flexible sentinel. You can lurk round 1, then on round 2 you can play post plan with your team, and round 3 you can initiate fights with either your ultimate or Gravnet lineups. This is also what makes Deadlock the funnest sentinel in my opinion. So good luck my fellow Deadlock mains. Send me your best Deadlock clips if you have any on my Discord server, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye. Here's the full whiff, guys.
Almost.